Lawyers of Reddit, what cases are you sorry you won? I had a case of 2 counts of statutory rape for which the guy was looking at hard 40 times too. I got him off on time served plus probation. His mom and sister were my friends. He was a nice guy, but developmental problems meant that he was always crossways with society. Then 20 years later I got a call from his sister that he had stabbed his roommate to death. I told the sister that I was really sad that it happened, but I was happy for her because it would make her and her mother's life so much easier. She agreed. In law school, a lawyer came to talk. Lawyer got a rapist off. I don't remember the details. The guy then went and raped another girl. The lawyer quit his job and went into community work. Defense. Prosecution is more satisfying. Until you find out you convicted someone innocent, sure. Less dramatic on average than what a given violent offender might do if gotten off, but much more personal since there's no psychopath taking the bulk of the blame. This is more of a case where I really felt bad for the guy and recognized it was a shitty situation. The guy was in some dire financial straits and had to prioritize what bills got paid and which ones didn't. The car insurance was one of the bills that didn't get paid. Well, immediately after making the payments on the bills he could afford to pay, he went out in a snowstorm and caused a minor property damage-only accident. That cued a flurry of phone calls from the car to cancel a check for one bill and an effort to renew his car insurance over the phone, which he did do. His story was that he paid the insurance then got in the accident, but with his phone records, bank records, and police call logs we quickly figured out what had really happened. I felt for the guy, and it seems there could have been a better way to spend the insurance money when a long-time customer is down on his luck. Then as I was looking through the phone records, I saw a 20-minute long call about 2 hours after the accident. I looked the number up and realized that was the "honey, now don't be mad, but" call. Then I really felt for him. There was another one where a lady lived in a small apartment building owned jointly by her mom and uncle. Mom died, uncle got sole ownership, sold the building, and the lady had to move out. Shit went absolutely sideways when they tried to get her to leave, and there was a flurry of pro-se lawsuits. This lady sued everyone: her uncle, the police, the housing authority, everyone. She even sued the lawyer handling her mother's estate. Anyway, I'm representing one party and I get summary judgment stuff ready and go to get the uncle's signature on an affidavit. I'm fresh out of law school and all piss and vinegar ready to fight this case and get it thrown out. The uncle sat down and said something about how it was such a shame about his niece's mental illness, and I immediately felt like a complete ass. Anyway, summary judgment was granted. The claim was nonsense, as were all of the other claims, or so I thought. Years later I saw a headline in the paper about how that lawyer who handled her mother's estate had been caught stealing from estates for years if not decades. Blind squirrel found a nut, I guess. No offense, and not an attorney, but it bothers me the contempt with which pro-se lawsuits are treated. I get that most are probably frivolous, but you have to imagine that some of the beefs are legitimate. If you have no money for an attorney, you are out of luck. Child support case in which the mom took the kids and then drove her car into a lake with them inside. I'm an employment lawyer. I once took a regional employer to the EOC because they had failed to provide my disabled client with a reasonable accommodation. In all fairness, we were very much in the right. It turned out that the issue was due to a shoddy store manager. That much is standard. Middle managers are almost always the ones to get employers in trouble. Here, though, the company's reaction was very much not standard. Normally, companies circle the wagons and fight the charges, regardless of how obviously screwed they are. Instead, these guys immediately recognized that there had been a screw-up, bent over backwards to get my client the requested accommodations immediately, and sent the manager for retraining. It was exactly the outcome that should have happened, and exactly the reaction that most employers fail to have. While I didn't win the case, and I'm not sorry we brought it, I was very impressed with the company afterwards. Tommy, my client, worked for Brand A phone shop. He set up a corporate account for a fake company in Brand A's system. He called the company Tommy Co. Every day he would go to work, sell half a dozen handsets to Tommy Co., put them in his car, and pawn them on the way home. That would fund his beer and bets for the evening. Tommy kept this scam going for 9 months. Every month he would log into the system and bump the due date of Tommy Co.'s bill back. His fabulous sales record earned him big commissions and sales awards from Brand A. Tommy was finally caught when Branda selected Tomiko for a PR exercise. He was summoned for a meeting with the store manager and Brand A HR. He called me and I came along. Brand A offered to let Tommy go quietly. We suggested that maybe he should go loudly instead, given how dangerously poorly secured Brand A's digital systems must be to allow this to happen. 24 hours later, Tommy signed an NDA and was allowed to resign with an excellent reference. He took that reference straight to the Brand A phone store in the next suburb where he got a job immediately. And straight away, he set up a new corporate account in their system. Being a devious master criminal, he called the new fake company Tomiko 2. This time he lasted only 5 months. His original manager spotted him when he won yet another sales award. Again, he was called to a meeting. The HR was not pleased to see me. And again, Tommy signed a new NDA and got a fresh reference. He promised verbally not to apply for any jobs at Brand A phone stores. Tommy kept that promise. Instead, he got a job at Brand A's help desk. With no access to phone handsets to pawn, Tommy would go to the bar and offer to cancel all the phone bills of whoever would buy him drinks for the night. He kept this up until one of his former managers walked through the call center and spotted him there. He was escorted from the building and his employment was terminated immediately. However, since Brand A had not discovered his help desk scam, and since he had otherwise done his job well, and since Tommy insisted, we initiated a wrongful dismissal claim. Brand A put their very worst, greenest lawyer on the job. She screwed it up by confirming that Brand A did not consider Tommy's history of fraudulent behavior when terminating him from the call center, and by finding precisely no leverage. Tommy took a settlement in the high 5 figures and received a new excellent reference. Tommy now works for a Brand B phone store. Given his behavior at the bar, I would not be surprised if he has a new fake company called Tomiko 3. I had to sue a little old lady in a landlord-tenant dispute. I did the case pro bono as I'll sometimes volunteer for Legal Aid Society if I've got some extra time, and this was the case assigned to me. Yes, the nice old woman broke the law. Yes, my client was entitled to receive his money back. But the old lady already spent it, and had zero means to pay it back. As the law was on my side, I won the case. But you never feel good suing a nice sweet old lady for money she doesn't have. I'm betting she only pulled the nice old lady when you were around. I'd also bet she had plenty of money, just hidden away. A guy had a financial entity in which old people used to put their life savings. The a-hole took the money and ran away. People sued him, but most of them lost. I was a paralegal in the army. We were responsible for admin separations. My buddy got a guy general discharge for borrowing $20 and having a dirty room. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I know they're guilty. They're all guilty. But I have to be a good lawyer and get them off their charges. If the police and prosecutors do their jobs correctly, you'll lose. Kind of the point of the system. If they didn't do their jobs correctly, then the system needs to be flushed and renewed. In a perfect world, sure, but far from the truth. Reasonable doubt is an extremely high burden on prosecution. As Ellie, they have to get probable cause for most government action like warrants and arrest. Even then doesn't mean you'll get to find what you're looking for, gain a confession, or even get a suspect to talk. Then reliable sources and proving the validity of evidence. Even then, when you get to court, new information can come up that didn't during the investigation, bringing the shred of reasonable doubt to what appeared to be a solid case, which in turn dismantles the case. Plus, police and prosecution aren't technically aligned. Police are to prove and disprove allegations. Their evidence goes to both the accused and accuser, and they shouldn't tailor questions to be one-sided. A cop proving you're innocent should be just as equal as a concern as proving you're guilty. Non-biased investigations. I've done warrants for the defense before. But it isn't a perfect world. Criminal lawyer here as well. Don't feel even the remotest bit bad about any of them. My job literally depends on maintaining emotional detachment to the case. As you said, they're all guilty. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. If I win, it is the prosecutor or police who should feel bad, not me. Even a goddamn werewolf is entitled to legal counsel. In the 90s, I defended this former NFL star. We'll call him J.O. Sampson to conceal his identity. Anyway, double murder. Definitely guilty, but I worked my lawyer magic and I hate myself forever now. I just noticed a lot of people mentioning quitting the law after terrible cases. and wanted to mention that this is the sort of selection effect that causes existing lawyers to be scummier than average. Because if all the ethical lawyers quit, then the unethical ones are the only ones left. Not that I'm blaming anyone for quitting. It's got to be awful to have to deal with those sorts of situations and be legally required to do your job anyway. But it is sad that the natural response, wanting to avoid doing bad things, can end up making the overall problem worse. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.